Thank you, Ada. Good morning. And here we go. All right, so welcome to the official launch of the Juvenile Career Education Africa. My name is Azin as your host today. We're starting immediately and would like to implore us to mute ourselves. Please, if you're not speaking, could you kindly mute yourself so that every other person would hear? Thank you. Thank you very much. So, like I said earlier on, my name is Azin Azuna, and I'll be moderating the session this morning. It gives me great joy to be here and to see everyone who is on this call. The Juvenile Career Education Africa, this is our first outing. This is the official launch, and you are a special guest. Thank you for being with us this morning. So career education, developing knowledge, skills, and attitudes towards a planned program of learning, experience in education is what this JuCE, otherwise known as the Juvenile Career Education Africa, is all about. And today we're glad to have your children, parents, educators. We're glad to have not-for-profit organizations here. We're glad to have people from the public service, dignitaries, special guests, to mention a few. I would just like to begin by recognizing the presence of some eminent people in our midst. And everyone is eminent, actually, but there are people we cannot but afford to mention at this point in time. And of course, I'll begin with Mr. Raphael Lukeke, who is the father of the founder of the founder and pioneer of JuCE. Thank you, sir, for joining this conversation this morning. Thank you for your immense support. Thank you. And I don't know if it would be okay, but let me also be the first on this platform today to say happy 70th birthday. It was his birthday yesterday. I would also like to welcome to this conversation, this official launch of JuCE, Mrs. Fumi Babington Ashaye, who is the founder Fumi Babington Ashaye FBA Foundation. We also welcome Mrs. Adeneko Aderonke, Senior Partner Adeneko Aderonke and Co. By extension, would love to welcome all members, mentees and mentors of Fumi Babington Ashaye Foundation who are gracing this occasion this morning. Thank you for joining us in spite of the very short notice. Would like to thank Wanne Nwangu, who is representing Pipeline Talent Company. Would like to thank you and welcome you to this event. Thank you, Mrs. S.C. Azike, retired Director of Education, who's been very helpful connecting us to schools for her belief in what we are doing. Thank you for standing by, JuCE, and welcome to this official launch. Ihani Bokwe CFM, representing Center of Memories Enugu, a partner with JuCE Africa. We thank you and welcome you to this event. Of course, like I said earlier on, everyone here today is a special guest. After all, it's our official launch, especially our young ones for whom JuCE Africa has come to be. You're the great tomorrow of the African continent, and JuCE is super excited to have you here. We're looking forward to working with you on your journey to finding the best career or careers most suitable for you as you go on in life. So without much ado, I'd love to read the profile of the founder, JuCE, who I'll be ceding the floor to shortly for her opening remarks. All right, so Ada is, I like to call her name in full, so I'll just do that. Ada Okeke is a founder, JuCE Africa. She's a lawyer who is qualified to practice in Nigeria and in the United Kingdom. She's an alumna of the Durham University, UK, where she studied law. She completed her LLM in 2015 in international maritime law from the IMO, that's the International Maritime Law Institute, Malta. In 2020, she bagged a magna cum laude, emerging the best graduating student at Erasmus University in Netherlands, where she obtained a Master of Science in Maritime Economics and Logistics. Ada has a growing work profile, and she's worked with Ernst & Young, Nigeria for 2 years, AP Moller Mex, and she's currently working as a global trade compliance specialist at a global health technology company. Ada is passionate about women, children, and education-focused social causes. She also supports the activities of various women and children-focused NGOs. And recently, she's been working with a mental health-focused NGO. Drawing from her experience and her passion for education, Ada has assembled a team of equally passionate individuals who will work tirelessly to ensure JuCE's success. May I then welcome Ada for her opening address. Now, if you can clap, if you can smile, if you can holler, just welcome Ada to take the floor. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ms. Ezine, for the kind introduction. Thank you, everybody who is here today. I'm super happy and super grateful. Thank you, parents that are represented here. I'm just curious if there is a child here, right? Because JuCE is about children. So is there any child here on this platform today? Or are we launching without a child? If you're a child and you're on the platform, can you or your parents say, I'm here? Raise your hand. Tony Akindele, you're not a child, but thank you.
Maybe there's a child in the background.
Okay, wonderful. We have a few kids in the background. I know Miss Ezine also has her kids joining. So thank you very much. The children who are here today. Thank you, parents. Thank you, guardians of the kids. Thank you to the JuCE members who are also here. We've been working on this for quite a long time. So thank you for gracing this occasion. Thank you, partners and sponsors represented here. And last but not the least, thank you to every curious person, everyone who saw the link floating around somewhere and thought it would be interesting to join. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm truly excited today to be at the launch of JuCE. JuCE today is actually a product of a vision I've had for over 10 years, right? Or almost 10 years. And this vision was born out of, the love and the passion of one person whom Ms. Ezine had already mentioned, and I would like to publicly acknowledge again, my father. Yesterday was his 70th birthday, so it's not a coincidence that we are launching JuCE today, a day after his 70th birthday. And JuCE is being launched in his honor because of the type of father he had. He had a strong dedication and passion for education and for excellence in education and in career. Not unlike many Nigerian parents, actually, my dad wanted me to study medicine. So when I was a child, he thought, Ada, you'll be a doctor. But when I insisted on studying law, he threw the full weight of his support behind me. And I always speak about how my dad would often, clip articles, legal articles for me from newspapers. When he got really adept with using the internet, he would send me like 1 billion links, on one legal topic or another, and in fact, when I was in my 3rd year at university, as Ms. Ezine shared, I am a maritime lawyer. And when I was in 3rd year, studying maritime law was actually born again off of this type of dedication. He was in Nigeria, I was in the UK. He had read in the newspaper about illegal fishing off of the coast of Nigeria. And he literally clipped the link and sent it to me and said, what can you do about this? And that was how the vision or the passion for maritime was born, right? And it's come to my knowledge through interaction with friends and through interaction with colleagues that this type of support is lacking in Nigeria for the average Nigerian child. This type of support is lacking in the parental structure, unfortunately, sometimes, but also lacking in the educational system. And that is why JuCE is born. So I would really like to welcome parents who are here. This is an opportunity for you to really support your child in finding their path and finding their way with the support of JuCE, right? So you're not going to be doing it alone this time. I would like to welcome the kids who are here today. This is a wonderful opportunity. As I'm going to share later, one of the questions that a child is asked the most is, what do you want to be when you grow up? And many times there's not a lot of support in finding that path. So this is a wonderful opportunity to support you as a child to find your way. And of course, last but not the least, like I said, thank you for everyone who is here listening. And I hope that by listening, you find a way to support JuCE, to partner with JuCE, and to work with JuCE for the future. I just want to make one very important point, and it's that we are today, I think we might feel like we're few, we are 26 people in a population of over 200 million. But I think what this should do is to excite you. You're at the foundation of something that is going to be very impactful. You're at the foundation of something that is going to be impactful for Nigeria today, but for the future of Nigeria, because at the end of the day, the kids are the future of Nigeria. So you are at the foundation, you are at the starting point. You have bragging rights to say, I was here when we were just 26 people, right? So I think that should really excite you, and that should make you excited for what we have going on today and what can come from this in the future. So if you haven't already, reach out, find a way to partner with JuCE to support JuCE for the future of the Nigerian child and for the future of Nigeria indeed. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you again, parents. Thank you, everybody. I would like to welcome you to the lunch today, and I hope you have a very interesting and exciting time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ada. Thank you for that brief welcome. So at this point, we'll be going to the next item on our agenda, which is an introduction of JuCE Africa, the vision, the mission, team, and initiatives. And I would like to call on Omo to take up that at this point in time.
Yeah, I'll be taking the introduction today, Ms. Sezene, but yeah, thank you. So, yeah, I hope you guys don't get tired of hearing my voice today, but I will try as much as possible to make it fun, interactive, and hopefully informative. So like I said already, one of the major questions a child is asked is, what do you want to be when you grow up? I find myself asking that question once you meet a child. Maybe it's for lack of something else to discuss with a child that age, but also out of curiosity. We often want to ask the question, what do you want to be when you grow up? And usually, depending on if you have direct access to the child, but what you might notice is that today the child might say, oh, I want to be a pilot because he's seen a movie with a pilot in it. Or tomorrow he or she might say, oh, I want to be a doctor. Or next tomorrow they might say, oh, I want to be a whatever, right? I was speaking to a school recently, and I asked a child, what do you want to be? And he said, I want to be a technical constructor or a technical architect. And I said, what do they do? He said, I do not know. Where did you come across that? Oh, I heard that somewhere. So why do you want to do that? Oh, I don't know, but he has told me that's what he wants to do. And this is a child in secondary school. So the idea of JuCE really, Somcho, I think the link, the PowerPoint has gone off. If you could share again. Thank you. So yeah, the idea of JuCE is to really support the Nigerian child, the African child, to answer this question, but not in a loosey-goosey kind of way, because the Nigeria we have today, unfortunately, is that you write JAM, maybe you don't get the score you want, and or even if you get the score you want, you apply and you say, oh, I want to study, for example, architecture, and they tell you, maybe you cannot do architecture, but why don't you do arts? And what happens is the child eventually just stumbles their way through careers. We really want to, nip this at the bud. That's why for JuCE, we haven't started or we are not focusing on uni students, even if this is a problem that is endemic. We want to start from the beginning, from secondary school students. Next slide, please. So we want to start from, when these kids are young to address this question. So what's the need for JuCE? The need for JuCE is born out of the fact of something I've said a lot. There is a deficit of career exposure. The average Nigerian child, career day, maybe you do that when you're in primary school. There is not a lot of guidance in terms of career, when you're in secondary school, when you're making those decisions. And as early as junior secondary school, you're actually expected to pick whether you want to go into science class, into arts class, into commercial class. I always like to give my personal example, which is not dissimilar to many people's experiences. I was lucky or privileged to be a smart child in secondary school. So when I wanted to go into senior secondary school, the guidance counselor said, no, you do medicine. You have to do medicine. And I said, no, I want to be a lawyer. And she's like, no, don't let them scare you. Law is not, you're too smart for law. Go into science classes. And I said, no, I absolutely do not want to go in science classes. I absolutely want to be a lawyer. I want to, go to arts class. And the perception was that I was too smart for law. So it did not matter what I cared to do. It did not matter my passion. It did not matter what I was interested in. What mattered is that it's that you're too smart for law. So from that perspective, there's not a lot of career exposure. There's not a lot of career mentorship. Career mentorship is essentially either like the guidance counselor, what are you smart enough to do? Or, from maybe the parental aspect is like, I'm a doctor, you have to be a doctor. Or I'm a this, you have to be a this, or sometimes all of this structure is even lacking, And of course, I talk a lot about, I'm quite passionate about the idea of uni preparation. I say this a lot, the average Nigerian child does not start preparing for JAM, which we all know that we have to take to get into university, but they do not start preparing for it till they are, just right at that moment where they have to take JAM, And what this means for the child is that there is not a lot of preparation. Now, there are some of our counterparts in other parts of the world, like China and India. These people are traditionally seen to be very smart. We say, they're so smart. They get excellent, perfect scores in SATs. They get perfect scores in this. And I like to say that they get those scores because the average Chinese child or the average Indian family is preparing their child from when they're 8, 9, 10 for the university. They don't stumble into things. They don't stumble into careers. It's a very curated experience for them. And this is what we want to be able to offer the Nigerian child, not from a perspective of pressuring them into something, but from an perspective of giving information, exposure. And how are we going to do it? We have these types of events, so these type of career events where we will be, it's all virtual, and the child can log in, the child has access to all of this. But what we aim to do is to bring young professionals, so people like me, people like many of the JuCE members that are on board now, to bring young professionals to speak about their career path, right? So for example, we have, and we will be sharing a lot on this later, but we have someone sharing on what it means to be in maritime law, or what it means to be in software development, or what it means to be in tech. What are the various areas of tech that you can pursue? And we aim to make this as simple as possible, as clear as possible for the child, right? So that they can say, okay, this career exists. I never knew it exists. I was speaking to a friend about JuCE, and he said, when I was young, I was so smart and I could literally do anything I wanted. So they said at that point, I think he's 26. So he's like, at that point, studying computer science was cool. So I was made to study computer science. But now he's into marketing. He loves to network. He loves to talk to people. He loves to bring a product from a vision into reality. And that's what he does. And he said, as a child, I never knew something like this existed. And that's really what we want to do, to offer that information and exposure for our kids to make decisions that are more, better decisions. So we will be doing these career events, career spotlights, mentor-mentee one-on-ones, connecting the kids to mentors, connecting to mentors and to young professionals, to ask questions, to network, and to, get support on their journey. And of course, youth preparation program, because we want to be in that position to prepare our kids so that they make career decisions and they don't stumble into career decisions. Next slide, please. Yeah, so that's I think I'm going to skip this slide. That's, I've explained what we are about in the previous slide, but that's what JuCE aims to do, all of those things I have mentioned before. And I will just quickly speak on our vision. We really want to see a Nigeria where the career paths of our children are intentionally thought through, intentionally developed, and intentionally chosen, right? We do not want kids to stumble in and out of career paths, or spend many years in university studying a course that they cannot utilize because they have made choices that, and I should say this, a major part of JuCE is, making sure that the kids of today are preparing for careers of the future, right? And that's imperative, whether we want it or not. As a society, as Nigeria, we need to start preparing for the future that technology and AI will bring, right? If you say you want to be a doctor today, it's not going to be the same thing in the next 10 years. I guarantee you that. In fact, medicine is not today what it was 10 years ago. It's not even what it was 5 years ago. So we need to prepare our kids for careers of the future. And that's one thing JuCE aims to do. Every young professional speaking with the kids is going to be projecting into 5 years, into 10 years to say, with the advent of AI, this is how I see this career changing. If today I do my job in this way, in 10 years' time, I envisage it to be done this way, because 10 years' time is when the kids we're talking to today are going to take over, right? So we really want to, we really want to make sure that that's the situation, right? Thank you, Mr. Josh, by the way, for sending comments. Please feel free to keep it interactive, to send in comments and all of that, but thank you. Next slide, please. Yeah, so who is our target audience? Like I've said, we want to nip this situation of lack of career exposure at the board. I was speaking to one of our partners, the Talent Pipeline Program, while, during our, call to where we decided to work together. And, Talent Pipeline Program currently works with university students. But one thing we could both agree on is the fact that this problem occurs way earlier than even university. It starts from the secondary school. And it is not alarming, or it's not alarming news. It's not news to know that an average 25, 30, 35-year-old today in Nigeria still stumbles around with their career. They are still trying to figure it out. And this is not, of course, there's career growth and progression of, oh, I've done this, and it's a natural progression to explore this. It's, oh, let me try this. Oh, they say tech pays today. Let me learn 3 tech skills. And you see people saying, what tech skills can I learn that will give me the most money? Because there is no direction. It's anywhere in the common Nigerian parlance, anywhere belle face, right? And we need to change that. That cannot be the reality of Nigeria, especially in the next 10 years. We need to produce globally competitive and marketable employees. So that's why we want to target it from a young age. We also want to work with parents. The role of the parents in shaping the career direction of the child cannot be overemphasized. I'm very blessed to have a parent who was very passionate about my
confident English lessons. You can find them all at my Speak Confident English website.
I'm very passionate to have a parent who was quite passionate about mine. And I really want to invite parents that are here today to be passionate about helping, not telling their child what to do, but helping their child to navigate their interests, helping their child or their children to find their way into where they are supposed to be. So next slide, please. So that is our target audience. And yeah, so now I'll be talking about the JuCE team. This is a quick overview but it comprises of me and some excellent, wonderful people, many of whom are friends that I have asked to come on board, and they have given me their time and their resources in terms of their intellectual property in getting JuCE to where it is today. The first official JuCE meeting happened last year in October, and we are here today in March launching, and it's genuinely a testament of the hard work of many of these incredible individuals. So I'm really grateful to that. I would just like to spotlight them. And one thing I have done is to try to bring people from all walks of life, literally. You know, I want I want people who, you know, like I say, I do not know it all. So I'm there leaning on the expertise of other young professionals who know more than I do, who have different experiences from what I do. And it's all in a bid to bring the best for the Nigerian child. So if you're a child and you're listening today, maybe many of the things I've said, you know, it's maybe above your head, but one thing you can take comfort in is that there is a team in JuCE of people who are doing exciting stuff. We have, for example, Chika Onubogu. He's a social media manager / content creator. That is one of the, in quotes, what they say today, blood money areas in Nigeria. And it's not just about the money, it's about fulfillment, it's about doing something you like. So we're not just focusing on traditional careers like law, medicine, this or that. We have careers of the future, quite literally. We have a Chika there to support you and advise you. We have a Timothy there who is a software engineer there to support and advise. And we have legal practitioners here doing incredible stuff. We have Somton Bogu, who is a leading animator, you know, in Nigeria. So the idea is to bring people from all walks of life who are doing exciting things, young people as well, who you can count on to help you to find your way and to find your path. Next slide, please. Yeah, so if you're here today and you're not a member and you've not previously connected with us, I would just like to let you know how do you come in, how you can support us. First of all, you can attend our events. They happen every 2 weeks. And when I say attend our events, I'm passionate about making sure that children, so if you're in secondary school, if you're a child here and you're in secondary school and you're here today, thank you for joining. Talia, I think Talia is here today. Talia is Mrs. Ezinne's child, and Talia was in fact one of the first kids I spoke to about JuCE. So I told her she would be my PA, so she's my mini PA. But Talia, tell your classmates, you know, parents that are here with secondary school kids, or friends that have kids in secondary school, JuCE genuinely is about the child. And today we have 29 people on this call, most of whom are adults, and I deeply appreciate your presence. But I really want that the next meeting, there will be, you know, maybe 50 people, so double the number, and 25 of them are kids, 25 of them are adults, right? Parents and guardians. It's so important. Tasha, thank you. Tasha is here and she's a child, so thank you for that. I really want the kids to benefit from this. A lot of our next programs are going to be very simple to target the children, to make sure that they, you know, we can connect with them and to make sure we are serving them. So please attend events every 2 weeks. It's virtual. And if you're not able to attend, we have it recorded. So you can also go back, listen, find out what's happening, connect with our social media, share our content on social media. This is important to get the word out there. The world is very digital, very global, and the more you're able to help us with that, the more we can reach the Nigerian child. And we're passionate about reaching as many, you know, children as possible. Become a member of JuCE. If you've listened to what I've said today and it resonates with you and you're excited about what you've heard, please join us. You know, there are various teams within JuCE, and I'm sure we can find a fit for you that would make you, you know, feel like you're impacting the world today and the generation for tomorrow. Sign up to become a mentor with us, or a sponsor, or a career partner. I would just like to give a tiny difference between a career partner and a sponsor. Sponsors are people who say, here is some money, take it, do the work of JuCE. And we love that, and we're grateful for that. But one very important thing JuCE aims to do, which I shared in the previous slide, is to connect children with internships and open days. We want a child. Please mute. Thank you. We want a child who says, oh, I want to be a doctor, to have an open day in a hospital or a 1 week internship in a hospital. Not that they visit the hospital just when they are sick, right? We want a child who says, oh, I want to be a consultant. I want to be an actress. I want to be a pilot. I want to be a whatever. We want to be able to give open days, walk through the factories, the industry, the offices, for the child to see what they actually want to do. Again, a friend of mine told me he wanted to be an accountant. He was sure because why? He was good at math. And the first day his dad took him to his office, his dad was an accountant. He stayed all day. He said, I was so bored and I decided that day. You see, sitting on the chair doing, it's not for me. But the truth is, an average child does not have that insight. And unless you're blessed to have a father or a parent, a mom who is already in that industry, you might not get that opportunity. JuCE wants to give that opportunity to the average Nigerian child. So it doesn't matter what part of the world you are in, what part of Nigeria you are in. As a company, we would love to partner with you. If you're, for example, in Enugu, we want to be able to have our JuCE children in Enugu have an open day, have an internship at your company. If you're in, for example, just wherever you are, please, reach out, partner with us. We want to be able to make this a reality. Of course, tell others about JuCE. That's the easiest way. That's the way we have the members we have today. It's by word of mouth. It's by bringing a friend to bring a friend. And one thing we can agree is that JuCE is important because many of us have had to live through a reality where there is no career mentorship, career guidance, career support. And we want to make sure that that's not the reality for the future of the Nigerian child. So tell a friend to tell a friend and bring others along, bring a child along. Even if you cannot go to a school to mentor, to bring in kids, tell a neighbor, tell a friend that just keep the word, put the word out there and connect with us. And hopefully we can, keep making this happen in a wonderful way. Next slide, please. I believe that's actually the end of my slide. But yeah, thank you everyone for listening. I'm going to pause. Ms. Ezine, do I have time for questions or we leave it at the end? If you're speaking, I cannot hear you, please. Ms. Ezine.
Okay, please, you could take the questions now. Sorry, I was muted.
Yeah, I don't know. Are there any questions for me? Any thoughts on the things I've said that you would like to maybe, piggyback off of, give your thoughts on it? Or, yeah. Okay, thank you, Joshua. Please unmute and speak. Thank you. Joshua JME.
Sorry, I was looking for the mute. Good morning from, is it afternoon yet? Good morning from Lagos, Nigeria. First, I'd like to say congratulations, Ada. I also like to say happy birthday, Daddy. Congratulations and many more beautiful years ahead of you. So I think this Lord's work that you have embarked on, I don't know if you know the magnitude of what you are about to do. I joke, I mean, I dropped a comment that I wanted to be, my dad wanted me to be a soldier. What he did was to carry, when he lost the intention with me, he moved it to my immediate younger brother. He just wanted somebody in the family to be a soldier. Guess what? Guess why? Because it was the military that was reigning then. Not to be a soldier because you want to be this, just to be a soldier, because that was the end thing at the point. But none of us ended up being soldiers. So I went on to be an accountant. But this writing that I'm now doing had always been with me. Fast forward, I met somebody earlier in the week. This person has 2 kids who within the ages that JuCE covers. And we're talking about a career path. At the time when I was fine-tuning my writing skills, we started together. But when I was speaking with her last week, she was into this, into that, into that, into this. And I said, are you sure you don't need a career coach? Because it was all over the place, from IT to that, to this, to that, to this. And I'm beginning to think that, is there, because these kids that JuCE will be covering, is there a place where JuCE will probably help the parents to even understand what these careers mean, so they can guide these kids aright? Because they will spend more time with the kids. These kids will come to JuCE for career talks every 2 weeks, but these parents will always be with the kids. Like in the case of my dad, he just wanted a soldier in the house. And in the case, this example that I gave, she herself, she's still trying to find her own feet, and her kids are turning teens already. So that, I guess that's my question. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for that question, Joshua. If there is another question, I can take that so that then I answer all together. Is there any other question? You can raise your hand if there is a question. If not, I take Josh's question. Okay, I will assume there is no other question, but thank you, Josh, for your question. And it's a really important question. Very much for the reason you said, that sometimes even the parents themselves need career guidance. And secondly, because many times, you know, parents, like you said, your dad, his exposure was limited to what he saw or knew at the time, which was, oh, being a soldier is trendy, let my child be a soldier. It's not about, you know, is Josh a bit, you know, fearless? Is he a bit athletic? Is he a bit into those things? I'm joking, but yeah, it had nothing to do with the consideration of you and what you liked and your skills. It was just about, oh, what would be good for me to say, I'm the father of a soldier, right? So, and like I said, the target audience of JuCE is not just the secondary school kids. We think it's so important to work hand in hand with the parents. We want the parents there because by being there, they can support their children. They can see the inherent, in fact, I'll give another personal example. Ngozi, I see your hand raised, and thank you for raising your hand. I'll come to you in a bit. I'll give another quick example. When I was young, I always said I'll be a judger of people. So even when my dad was like, oh, I want my kids to be doctors, this and this and this, he could see that I was so interested in that path, right? I remember when my mom and dad will, like, you know, get into a discussion about something and they will have different opinions. I'll say, literally, mommy, sit here, daddy, sit here. Now tell me, I decide. So you cannot see a child who is that passionate at a young age and you say, oh, let's stick with medicine. Oh, it absolutely has to be medicine. But you know, many times that's unfortunately what parents do. And parents are, I say this a lot, parents are not crazy. Many times parents are just trying to find career paths for their kids, which guarantee the most security in future. At that point, Joshua, being a soldier was reputable, was trendy, and possibly had some career security, hence the push to be there. What JuCE aims to do is to show the careers of the future. We want to support parents in navigating that with their kids so that hopefully they have that assurance that their child will be financially and secured professionally in the future, as well as, you know, then helping them to get their children into those paths, right? So a short answer, parents are part of our target audience because we envisage them being a huge guide in getting their children to the future careers. So thank you for that question. Ngozi, if you ask your question, I think it might be prudent to move on to the keynote speech, but please ask. And then at the end of the event, we can, you know, wrap up with the questions. But thank you, Ngozi. Please unmute and ask.
Good morning, ma. Ma, my name is Kelechiku Enoch Okwara, and I'm from Lifeout International High School. Ma, my question is, you have been saying the word JuCE. Ma, what does JuCE mean?
Okay, wow. Okay, I think I have to answer that. Thank you so much, Kelechi. And I'm so happy there's a child here, Kelechi. Thank you, brilliant. Okay, I'm really excited. Thank you. Okay, so JuCE means, it's literally here, juvenile career education. Juvenile means a child, right? It's a young person. It means early, right? And that's what JuCE is trying. So we just shortened the name, right? Thank you, Somto, for zooming in. We just shortened the name so that instead of saying juvenile career education all the time, it's a mouthful, you say JuCE. But honestly, when I came up with the name, one thing that made me really happy is the fact that JuCE sounds very fun. It sounds, the color, even the color we chose, we were very intentional about making it fun, making it young. When you come to JuCE, you're getting the juice you need for the future. You're getting the tips, the things you need for a future, right? So that's the short form, juvenile, meaning young, career, education, meaning if you're here, we're going to be supporting you as a young person with thinking about your future. Okay, that answers your question, right?
Yes, ma. Thank you, ma.
Thank you so much for being here. Thank you. Mrs. Ezine, please, back to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ada. Thank you. It's been an interesting one. And thank you, everyone. Not to waste our time, we'll just move to the next item on our agenda, which is the keynote speech. Actually, one of the bedrocks behind what we're doing here today, the importance of career education. So we hear career education, but what's the importance? Why should we be keen into it? And to do justice to this topic is someone I'm excited to hear this morning, Chika Hirim Num, who is an educational psychologist and researcher. Chika is an expert in the design, review, and management of education programs in a range of contexts. Her experience and expertise in the education sector includes learning assessment, teacher capacity development and assessment, curriculum development, systems strengthening and transformation. Before joining Genesis Analytics, Chika held various academic and research roles across several organizations. She was the head of curriculum development at ULesson, and she co-led the design and development of a Pan-African digital library for K-12 learners. She also co-led the development of accessibility features to enable and support children who are deaf or hard of hearing, and those from linguistically diverse backgrounds. At Bridge International Academies, Chika led the implementation of numeracy and literacy pilot projects, and she served as a liaison between the school managers and the management team on non-academic concerns. She's also provided technical field support on a multi-year study on child development and health at the National Institute for Early Education Research in New Jersey, USA. At Genesis Analytics, Chika works on a range of education, child and youth-focused projects, including the Supporting Adolescents Girls Education SAGE, and Endline Evaluation, a study on the Kenya school-based teacher support initiative, and the study of the educational context for the global or in the global South. So it's a great honor for me to hand over there's no microphone here actually. It's a great honor for me to hand over the floor, to cede this floor to Chika, as she would do justice to the topic. Welcome, Chika, and over to you, please.
Thank you so much. Great to meet everyone, and great that Ada made that wonderful presentation when she was talking about that question of what do you want to be when you grow up? I've always thought that it's a very loaded question. And so even myself as an adult, I feel some type of way when people ask me that question, oh, what do I want to do? Like, yes, I'm in education, but like, where do I see myself in like 5-10 years? And I still think it's a very loaded question. So to have like a child answer that is always very interesting. In terms of, why career education is important, I think it's important to pause and take like a few steps back to understand the context of things, especially in Nigeria. And excuse me if you see me looking at in a different direction, I'm working with different grades. So basically, just thinking first about the backdrop of Nigeria. Nigeria has very, very young. Almost half of Nigeria's population is either 18 years or younger. Meaning that we have a very, very large school age population. We have people, and having children younger than 18 means that they're in secondary school, they're in primary school, they're in kindergarten, or they're not yet in school at all. And so when you really think about that, what it basically means is by 2040, 2050, about half of the population is going to be working population, right? So these young children are going to be the ones in the labor force. Now, when you think about that in the context of career education, what it basically means is if these children do not have proper guidance, we would have a large number of labor force, but we will not have enough skilled people in building the industries, building the careers that they ought to. And so it basically means that the economy is at risk of not being as developed as it needs to be. Now, when we think about that, that's one thing to think about. And then we move to the second layer where we realize that Nigeria has one of the largest number of out-of-school students. These numbers you're seeing on the screen are recent. They are 2022 numbers from a UNICEF report. So basically, 1 out of 3 children in Nigeria are out of school. At the primary level, we have 10.2 million students that are out of school. They are not learning. They may or may not have some kind of like work going on, or working with their parents, fishing or selling things. But basically, they are not learning. They are not in school, so they are not experiencing any formal education. And at the junior secondary level, there are up to 8.1 million students or children that are not experiencing any form of formal learning. Now, that is a big issue because it's one thing to be able to learn and be in a formal education space, and it's another thing to get career education, because when you think about it, for most people, it's actually in school that they start learning, oh, so this person is a teacher. Oh, my friend's mom is is a HR specialist. They basically get more exposure in school. And so the fact that they're out of school limits their learning capacity, limits their level of exposure. Now, when we look at taking another layer, right, we think about even the children that attend school in Nigeria. They attend school, but it doesn't necessarily mean they're learning. It doesn't necessarily mean that they have the adequate amount of support they're supposed to get. And so basically, when we think about it, even the children that attend school, they are not necessarily getting the best experience that they should get to prepare them work, to prepare them for life. And so when we think about the poor education quality, that in turn also adds another challenge for the typical Nigerian child. And when I think about this particular point, it reminds me of an experience I had at the university level. I would say generally my educational experiences have been great, right? But when it comes to things like counseling, career education, not so great. Over the course of my year, at the secondary school level, I had to change my career options so many times for different reasons. And even where I am now, I think about pivoting sometimes. But that just goes to show that, without self-reflecting a lot, without having people to speak to talk about that have your genuine interest in mind, it could be at risk. And the experience was, I had finished my first degree and I was thinking of going to do my master's program. And my interest was either doing educational psychology, or child psychology. Just basically, I was very interested in understanding how people learn, and that's the core focus of educational psychology. So I had selected a program that was focused on learning, cognition, and development. And so I had gone back to my alma mater to get recommendation letters from my professors. And I clearly remember one of my professors saying, "Why are you going to the US to waste your parents' money studying educational psychology? What are you going to do with it? Your colleagues and your mates are, moving on to do HR. Why don't you go and do HR? People who do sociology at first, I mean, it's easy transition. You just do it, and it's very straightforward." And for me, she said it so many times, and she was just convinced that, why, like, of what use is that going to be for me? How am I going to, like, what am I going to do when I'm done with the degree? And that memory stuck with me up until today, because I'm like, this is me at university level with great education, and to some extent still looking for some bit of validation, because primarily speaking, everyone needs validation, especially when you're like, okay, this is something you're investing in, and you want other people to sort of like confidently also say that, okay, this is of great meaning to you. This is something that you can actually like build on. And so for me, it was actually quite shocking. And so for me, even though I had that experience, I still went ahead to do my master's, and I, went into the field of, doing research in education, doing different things. And so for me, when we think of education, it actually doesn't even stop. It goes on to university level, and even when you're a professional, a lot of 5 years after, they pivot into something different, and they do need guidance, they do need advice. And so when we think about education quality, we think about that in the formal education sector, we think about that in the informal education, where even when you're like out of school, you still need support. And so moving on to my next point, right now, especially for like school-age children, what I mean by that is people who are at the age where they're supposed to be in primary school, secondary school, or like university, because their age brackets that used to guide those type of decisions. And so when we think about that, there's a lot of focus on foundational learning, and what that basically means is supporting children to build the necessary literacy and numeracy skills, because literacy and numeracy is one of the major things that like build every other thing. You need to be able to read and write, and be able to read and identify and use numbers to be able to understand any other subject. So it doesn't even necessarily have to be in English, but you need to be literate, and you need to be able to understand numbers. And so there's a foundational learning, and there's also a focus on 21st century skills, because they say, oh, people need to learn soft skills, they need to learn communication skills, they need to learn all of this. But where I find a major gap is the fact that there are limited initiatives or like interventions focused on helping children and youths understand the career landscape. And we, in different ways, it has been mentioned on this call where, we ask people what they want to be when they grow up. We're asking them, but we are not also showing them what are the opportunities, not just the opportunities available, just more of what are the opportunities in 2024 for people who are in the job market, or, basically career perspectives, the kind of jobs that are going to be available in the next 5 years and things like that. And so limiting it to, oh, what are you going to be when you grow up? A lot of people in Nigeria, what they know is, one, the traditional careers that we normally talk about: law, medicine, engineering. But even at that, when you ask someone who wants to be an engineer, you ask them what type of engineer do they want to be. Not everyone will have an answer. Not everyone knows that there's something like aeronautic engineering. Not everyone knows that there's something called biomedical engineering. Not everyone knows even if you're an engineer, you could work at a biomedical lab. You don't have to be in a factory or a production site. And so that lack of exposure still, causes a huge limitation to people. The children their parents, and people in schools, where you tell people what you want to join, they're like, what do you mean? What's that? In this Nigeria, what's your plan? That kind of thing. And so these are some of the things that are important to think about at the background, not just for children, but for everyone within the context of people that support children. So parents, schools, people at the community level, people at the state level, local government level, because one, these are policymakers, these are people that can influence like change and say, okay, we need to create like a career education initiative for people in public schools. How do we go about that? And so that's very interesting. And so bottom line is, generally, because there's lack of career education, or it's not enough, we always see mismatched skills against the job market. And I decided to use these two games because I think that in an interesting way, sort of like depicts how people react. So when you think about, younger people in secondary school, you enter GS3, and they're telling you, oh, you have to pick between science, arts, and commercial class when you enter SS1. What do GS3 people know about science? Like, they know that, okay, there is physics, chemistry, and mathematics. They know that you need to, sometimes they know that, oh, the subjects to, do a university program, maybe in engineering or something, but that's basically all that they know. They don't know the implications of those decisions. They don't know that, okay, if they choose the subjects, they're going to spend possibly the next 4, 5, 8 years. Imagine if you're doing medicine, and then you realize that, okay, you're saying you want to do medicine, and then you get into your first year of university, and you're like, nope, immediately no, like, this is not what I want to do. And you have to like change your mind. So it's very difficult for young people to be burdened with that decision without any sort of open conversation, whether it's with their parents, whether it's like open conversation with their class teacher at that point, to say, okay, what exactly is this about? How do I feel about this? Am I a very hands-on person? Do I like to build things with my hands? What exactly does that mean? Does that mean that even though I'm a science student, there's a component of being a science person that you don't have to get too technical? And so just basically having simplified conversations with young people to, one, first understand their interests, so that could also help you to guide them to make the decisions that they need to make. But then I think the other thing that people don't also talk about is the fact that even though you can choose to be a science, arts, or commercial student, there isn't a lot of conversation to help young people know that just because you're making this decision now doesn't mean you can't change your mind later. If you're a science student and you finish senior secondary and you decide that, you know what, maybe I don't want to do science anymore. Maybe I want to go into music. Maybe I wanted to go into entrepreneurship. It's okay to change your mind. But again, there isn't a lot of conversation about the fact that interests change over time. Life is dynamic. And so you start doing one thing, and after a couple of years, you realize that, you know what, I'm good at this, but it doesn't mean I want to stay doing it. I want to change to something different. And so because there isn't a lot of conversation about that, and a lot of emotional safety net for people to feel comfortable saying, you know what, I've done this, I'm in my second year of university, and I don't feel that it's right for me. There is no emotional safety net for people to come out and say, I want to change. And even when they do come out and change, like I said, the emotional safety net is not there. So parents stop talking to their children. So in harsh cases, they stop sponsoring their education, and these children have to start from scratch and move on with their lives. And so it's really a tough one. And then we also then move to the university students, where, you go through 4 years, 5 years, even, medical school, 8 years. And then, you come out and you start looking for a job, and you realize that looking for a job is a full-time job. And the jobs you're applying for, they're telling you, oh, you see your regular job description of what someone who went through medical school does. And then you then see additional requirements. Oh, you must have learned how to use XYZ software. You must have learned how to do this. And they're like, nobody told me that this was part of the agenda. And so it's just, shock after shock, where people feel unprepared, people feel unsupported, and that's just a huge challenge just because the job market, labor market demands have changed significantly in the last 5-10 years, right? A lot of the conversations about job now are either related to tech, and not because other jobs don't exist, but that's pretty much what is trending. And so a lot of people feel left out if they're pursuing other things that are not the things that are trending. And so there's also the conversation of, not focusing on the industries that are trending, but realizing that each career has its whole role to play in the development of a society. And when I think about that, I think about the fact that, okay, I mean, if I listen to the people that discouraged me, I may have jumped to tech, and not to say that tech is a bad thing, but the same way you need people, product managers in tech, is the same way you need psychologists and researchers to be able to say, this is exactly what we need. This is the balance we need. And so both sides matter. And that is also part of like career education. And so these are some of the things that I think that are helpful for each person that's on this call to think about. If you know a child, or if you had this lived experience, I assume that, you have children around you who might also be experiencing things like that. So this is just something for you to think about when you have conversations with young people. Please, next slide. Great. And so when we think about the benefits of career education, right? What really happens when someone gets the right amount of guidance, or has that constant support, whether it's from secondary school, whether it's from their home, whether it's from, one of the teachers that they met in school, and that person has stayed in touch with them for a long time. What it does is it gives the individual an increased sense of self-awareness, where the moment you start feeling differently and you're like, okay, maybe this is what I want, or maybe this is what I don't want and what I need to pivot, you're able to realize where you're making a mistake, or where you need to like change your sense of direction or strategy. And so that's very important, both for the child as well as the guardian that's providing support. And when we think of career education in the bigger picture, right, we think about how if people had better guidance at secondary school level, right, they are more likely to decide whether they want to be an entrepreneur and possibly maybe go to like vocational school to learn a trade or whatever it is they want to do, or go into like higher education, where they then focus on the course that they really are, interested and skilled at. And so basically what it means is that graduation rates would increase. You would have less people stopping midway, transitioning into another course, and having to start again from scratch. And so graduation numbers would improve. There will likely be reduced dropout rates or transition rates midway. And it would also sort of like influence, and that's supposed to be unemployment. It's indirectly, it would also reduce unemployment, because basically when people start to realize what they really want to do, and they go to school for it or get the support and training that they need, they're likely to succeed and then thrive in whatever they do after school. Right. And so that's something to like keep in mind. And then when you also think about it, when people have very distinct guidance, when they meet people who are doing what they consider doing, but maybe they've never, so say for instance, someone says they've never seen someone who has studied educational psychology and is actually like practicing, right? Anyone who's on this call right now is like, oh, Chika is an educational psychologist. How did she do it? I mean, it's something that I've considered, but I mean, it didn't make sense to me. I don't know any educational psychologist in Nigeria, and so when you think about it, people are then curious to reach out to people who are modeling what exactly they want to do with their life. And they're able to say, oh, Chika, what skill sets did you need? What competencies did you need? What did you have to do to prepare yourself for school? And how did you get yourself through school? How did you get yourself to this point of your career? And so when they have people who they're able to model their lives after, they're able to understand the skills that they need to prepare themselves with, to basically then meet the market demands that they meet after they're done with school. And so that's modeling, that career education, that's mentorship is very, very critical, because there's only so much career education can actually do, especially where there aren't, professionals who are modeling exactly what people need to see, in real life. And so that's very critical. And so when we think about it, in the long run, when people have career education, they have guidance, they have mentors, whether direct or indirect mentors, they are more prepared. They are more prepared for life. They are more prepared for the workplace. They are more prepared for the entrepreneurship journey that they're setting out for. And so this potentially increases their earning capacity, because then again, even if some of the things they're doing are trial and error to get expertise, they're making informed decisions. So it's not 100% guessing game. They have received guidance, they received advice, they've gone to school, they have a certain level of clarity. And so they're able to make informed decisions, improve their earning capacity, and technically also improve their purchasing power, basically meaning that, okay, someone starts out and as a researcher, they then decide, okay, they build themselves well enough to have their own private practice. Right. And so they start their business, them starting their business basically contributes to the economy at large. And so we are not just looking at career education, but we are thinking about the short and long-term gains of career education. And so being able to present this big picture as well as, small picture helps people to understand why it's important. A major component of education, generally speaking, whether it's career education or formal education, is behavior change. People need to understand the benefits, the short and long-term gains, for them to be able to start thinking about their mindset and say, you know what, even though I had this initial thought about this particular topic or this particular thing, now that I have a bit more clarity, I think I better understand why this is important. I may not 100% understand why my child wants to be a psychotherapist, but I'm going to try to understand this process with them, try to understand this profession with them, so that whatever questions that they need, even if I can't give them all the answers, I can send them to school to get the answers that they're looking for. And so these are some of the things that are important, where there are events like this and you get to learn about the short and the long-term benefits of it, understand that the long-term gains, not just as an individual, but at the community and societal level. These are conversations that need to be had regularly, because you have different crowds coming in, people from different backgrounds, and they need to understand that sometimes you don't even also have to understand things in full to give your children, the agency to make certain decisions. Sometimes you just have to allow them to explore, to be able to sort of understand things, and them exploring will also help you understand the implication of giving your children agency to sort of find things out for themselves if you don't have answers for them. So next slide, please. So great. In terms of career education, there is the role of several stakeholders, right? You have the school-age children, the children who are in secondary school, university, all of that. You have the schools, you have the governments who are running these education programs, the primary and secondary schools, and you have the parents. And when you think about it, children spend half of their time in school when they're not at home. And so basically whatever happens in school is very critical. So whether it's formal stuff or extracurricular things like, career education, counseling, career day, things like that. And then you have situations where, they do all these things in school and they go back home, their parents ask them what they did. They either reinforce what is done in school, or, they basically teach them something opposite. And so basically what this diagram basically sort of indicates is what the different stakeholders could contribute, right? So there's the curriculum, where sometimes, depending on the quality of school and the education that they provide, they incorporate some of these things into the curriculum, where you're learning something like social studies or even physics. They talk about maybe male and female physicists who have, prominent, or maybe Nigerian physicists. The teacher goes out of their way to sort of identify Nigerian physicists and say, you know what, there's so person became a physicist at so year, this is what they did. incorporating it into curriculum is good, because what really happens is children start to say, oh, I've never heard of a Nigerian physicist, someone who is actually like practicing. So it's one thing to study, it's another thing to practice. And so when you incorporate it at the, at the curriculum level, it brings the exposure like, right? And same thing with guidance and counselor. If you have a guidance and counselor in your school, this person needs to be abreast of the range of career opportunities. And even if they don't know everything, I think something important that is always helpful is asking open-ended question, asking why. Oh, why do you want to be a doctor? Did you know that there are different types of doctors? You could be a dentist, you could be, just basically providing examples. And when you start to provide examples, children start to think about things that they never thought of before. Right. And so, going beyond, just career days, to do like workshops, just something a little bit creative to help people understand. Same thing at the government level where, if there were more initiatives where, I know in private schools, sometimes they do things. When I was in primary secondary school, there was something we did. It's kind of like internship. But it's kind of like, okay, let's say you want to be a vet doctor. They will tell you that you have to take 1 week of school, you will not come to school. You basically go to an institution where you can shadow someone in the career that you want. So at that time, I wanted to be a vet doctor. So I actually did my 1 week in a vet clinic. And for me, it was just fascinating because it's experiences like that show you what exactly you think you want to get yourself into. And then sometimes people will be like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to have to be seeing blood. I don't want to have to be doing XYZ activity. And then it's sort of like be oriented to ask yourself, okay, what else am I interested in that I can do? And so this could happen in public schools, it could happen in private school, but we need to see more of these things. And then you have parents at home who don't just focus on, the formal education pathways where they sign up their kids for like different programs, different initiatives, summer schools, or, summer programs where they learn a lot of things. This is where like private sectors and CFA comes in, maybe organizations that do things like what JuCE is doing and, the programs that they run. And so just basically exploring all pathways and having these different stakeholders sometimes come together, whether, say, for instance, in Lagos, right? So you have maybe an organization like JuCE going to like a group of schools saying, you know what, the schools in the Ikeja region, I'm hosting maybe like an event that I think, all these different schools should come to. This is the agenda. This is the role you can play. This is beneficial, not just for us as an organization, but for the children in your school, because return on investment is this. These children get good career education. They go into great universities. They're alumni of the school. And so when they're like older and things like that, they're like, if not for this experience that I had when I was in XYZ school, I'm not sure that I'll be where I am today. And so just in all, I think that what JuCE is doing is great, especially like, taking a collaborative approach, reaching out to parents. I do think that, over time, as the organization grows, as the initiative grows, it would foster more collaboration and partnerships with like different stakeholders, which was, make it very robust and just, help a lot of like Nigerian children, build out the career that they want to have. And even if they decide to change their mind, such experiences will help them feel confident in the fact that it's okay to change your mind 5-10 years after. And so, yes, I wanted to give something short, and I hope that this conversation has been very beneficial to everyone. And so, if I don't know whether the Q&A section is okay. Yes, it is. So if you have any questions, comments, please do share.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Chika, for that very expository delivery. Very good one. Career education is indeed the way forward. And would like to, first of all, even apologize that we may just stay a bit longer than the 12:30 earlier targeted. Please bear with us. You would agree this is a very important conversation we're having, and to get the best out of it, we'll just have to take on a few questions, and then we'll have Deborah subsequently come up to talk about the program of JuCE. So if we have any questions, would like you to kindly raise your hands. Thank you everyone who's joined. Kindly raise your hands if you have any question, and would hear you immediately. All right. Alternatively, I would suggest that while we are chewing on what Chika has said, what Ada has said earlier on, while we're chewing on it and trying to make up our minds on what our questions may be, could we just, Ada, at this point in time, have Deborah come up with the details of the upcoming programs and initiatives so that we won't be wasting further time. Thereafter, we'll take up the questions, if any, because for now, we don't have any hand up. Okay, yes, please feel free to also drop your questions in the chat and we'll come back to you. Chika, thank you again for that very, very, very important discourse you just led us on. Deborah is an environmental and toxicology, a graduate of environmental and toxicology studies from the University of Benin. And she is currently the admin manager of JuCE. And so every one of you who will be engaging JuCE going on forward will be seeing Deborah often. And so she would take over this moment to just tell us some of the upcoming programs, and so that we'll be able to find ways to key in, whether as parents, teachers, or as children wanting to learn more about career education and to be a part of JuCE. Deborah, over to you, please.
Thank you, Mrs. Izini, for the introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the... Everyone hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. We have a lot of exciting events coming up, and the first one is career choices. Okay, for the students here, I'm going to explain what a career is. A career is a job that adults dedicate their life to doing. People decide what career to pursue based on their interests and skills. Some may have the same career for life, but others may choose to try many different careers over a lifetime. Like Mr. Josh said, he was once an accountant and now he's a writer. And like Chika also said so. And our speaker is going to be Demilade Adelaja. She's an author of children's books, of a children's book. She's also an educator, an education activist, and she has also worked with an NGO called Street to School Initiative. Okay, and she's going to be talking to us about how to choose a career. Okay. Next slide, please. Okay, next on our list on the 27th of April is My Journey into Maritime Law by Joy Dimka. You may be wondering what maritime law is. Maritime or admiralty law is the body of law that governs or is in charge of navigation and shipping. So Joy Dimka will be talking to us on her journey into maritime law on the 27th of April also. Joy Dimka is a maritime lawyer. She's a senior legal counsel in Nigeria Shippers Council. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, next on our list is how did you decide on a profession? And Adekole Smith, Uche Chika Elumelu, and Pelumi Adewoyin is going to be talking to us about
Deborah, are you still here? All right, that's okay.
If Deborah's network comes back, I will hand back to her. But just very quickly, yeah, Deborah, are you back? Okay, so very quickly, we have the JuCE fireside chats, which will be, it's a really interesting way, the children here, for you to hear from different young professionals, right? So what we try to do is to bring perspectives from various people. So here we have an actress and a creative consultant. If you watch this, there's this show, I think at JuCE, it's a really popular Nigerian TV show. Uche is one of the regulars on that show. So we have an actress. Just a personal experience. Uche was the head girl in school in Queen's College. Well, the assistant head girl in Queen's College, and she was a science student, and now she's an actress. So I find her journey to be so interesting. And like what Chika, our speaker, has said, it's okay to grow in a career, but it has to be an intelligent process. It cannot just be, today this, tomorrow that, right? So we're bringing Chika. We have Adekunle, who is a lawyer. We have Belumi, who is a senior product manager. And Belumi, again, is a friend who I know wanted to be a pilot when he was a child. So now we're going to explore the ways these people have found their way to what they're doing today. Next slide. Deborah, once you come back, feel free to interrupt me and take the mic, but I'm just doing this so wait. Yeah, then the next thing, 7 things to do during your long holiday or your summer holiday. It's typical of our parents to send us to those long summer classes that you've just come back from school, you're tired, you want to rest, but now you have to do summer lessons. Now you're in school again, except now you're no longer in school uniforms, you're in your mufti. We want to work with your parents to find exciting things for you to do during your long holiday that not only will give you some time to rest from a long academic year, but will set you up for a career, for exciting opportunities in future. So music classes, coding, drone classes, drone and software development. At a young age, many people start coding from when they're 7, 8, 9 years, so much younger than you are. So we will be working through that. Next slide. I think Debbie is back and she would present on that as well. Deborah, please go ahead.
Deborah, over to you.
Can you hear me now? Sorry,
Yes.
Yes, we
the
can.
network went off a bit. Okay, next we have Somto Onubogo, and he is a creative director, CEO, Shocks Media, is also a leading animator here in Nigeria, and he's going to be talking to us about my journey into design and animation on the 8th of May 2024 by 11 a.m. same time to 12:30 p.m. here on Zoom. So if you like to draw, do you like to draw? Have you ever been punished in class for drawing in your assignment notes? Is your mind brimming with fantastical stories, or do you love writing poetry and short stories? Join Somto Chukwu Onubogo as he shares his journey into the world of
Hello, Deborah. Ada, please could you just continue?
Yeah, so Somto will be sharing with you about animation, so if you like, what's the name of this popular anime Avatar that just came out? Avatar, I'm not sure I know of other animations, but Somto, if you're interested in that type of thing, you should attend this session. And more than that, just to say, in terms of talking about careers of the future, the world of animation, the world of game design, it's going to be huge. So this is also a very interesting thing to explore into the future. Next slide, please. Next slide. So, oh, sorry, my bad. I just realized next slide was me to next slide it. Yes, I think we've explored this. And then the next slide is how important is formal education today. Every few years in Nigeria, or every few months, this trope, education na scam. or education no be scam, oh, it will trend, right? This talk is about really exploring, is education indeed a scam? Is it important today to still get a formal education? When you say education, there's all types of education, but we mean going to school and all of that. You know, some of the world's most influential people did not complete university education. A big example is Mark Zuckerberg, right? So is this still as important? You know, so those are things we're going to explore with this presentation. And yeah, I believe those are the things we have coming up. So as a child, please be excited about this. Please attend. And if you're in school when this session is going on, you can come back and watch some of the sessions, or if you can let us know your school, then we can try and partner with your school to bring these presentations to you at your school. That's another thing these things to partner with your school, partner with schools to be able to make sure you're not missing out, right? So yes, I'm going to hand over back the mic to Mrs. Ezine. And thank you, Debbie, for the network was a bit patchy, but thank you.
Thank you very much, Ada. I hope nothing. Okay. Thank you very much, Ada. Thank you, Debbie. It's quite an interesting lineup. You'd all agree with me. And the thing to do is to find out how to be a part of it, whether you are a child or a parent or a school. You know, the lineup, when it was coming on, I just wished I was still a child. Maybe I would have made a different choice in a career, you know, at the end of the day. But this is it for our young people. And like I said, when we were beginning, they are the future. They are the great Africa, the great Nigeria of tomorrow, you know, the global great of tomorrow. So just key into it. I'm sure at the end of the day, you'll find a way to reach out to us, even on the website. You would find a way to reach out to us, juiceafrica.org. So I'll be asking if we have any questions now following Chika's presentation, or you have anything you want to learn generally about JuCE, please, this is the time. Could you just indicate? I've gone through the charts. I cannot find questions. So may I assume that we're all good and we understand what career education is and how important this would be? Now, can I ask how many of us find this interesting, this conversation here today? How many of us find it very interesting? All right, thank you. I just saw a message. Great initiative, Ada. Thank you for this. I guess you're speaking for all of us. So I'll just go straight to recognizing our partners and sponsors of the day. I have very many sponsors do not want to be mentioned, quite a few. So would like to acknowledge some NGOs, Center for Memories. Thank you for partnering with us. Thank you, Destiny Trust. Thank you, the Talent Pipeline Company. Thank you, Valor College, Abodere College. We have quite some students from Life Fort International here. We want to thank you for joining. We thank Rafson Medical Laboratories. We thank JuCE Media. Thank you for partnering with us. Russell Smith Group, Minim and Toya Nigeria. Daptim, thank you for joining and for being a part of this event. Thank you for partnering with JuCE and for making this event reach us. Of course, I would like to also acknowledge every team member of JuCE. I recall that first meeting. While I sat there, I just said to myself, what are you old woman doing amongst these hot brains? you know, and so I'm very excited that JuCE is coming, and we have these professionals supporting the programs and being a part of it to bring it life to our children. These are Nigerians who are based all over the world and doing great things, coming together to bring JuCE our way, and we're grateful for all of you. Ada, who would I be handing over to for the closing remarks, being that we do not have questions?
Yeah, no, I can just take that, but and I think you've done a lot of the thank yous. So I'll just I'll add again, you know, another thank you. Special shout out to Lightfoot College. We actively go around looking to partner with schools, and even if we have not approached them personally, just the fact that Mrs. Ezine's daughter attends the school, a lot of the students today have joined. So we'll be officially trying to connect with you, to partner with you and bring JuCE to you. But thank you so much to the kids here. Honestly, to every child here, this is really about you, right? This is about you. This is about your future. And I'm so excited for you that you get to be here. Thank you so much to Chika. Chika is incredible, right? I got someone to connect me with her, and since she came on board, she has just been filled with ideas and support, and it's so incredible because JuCE is, you know, I say, okay, it's something I thought about, it's my baby, but she gave me that professional validation to say, this is important, this is the way you should go about it. There were things we were not even thinking about that she came on board and she said, oh, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Some of which we're currently working on and will be launching soon. So incredible. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you to Chika. Thank you to everybody who joined, especially, you know, those who joined at the last minute. Thank you so much. And we look forward to, thank you. We look forward to having this continue every 2 weeks. And we look forward to having Demilade Adelaja, who is the author of a children's book, and she's been a UN ambassador before, if I'm not wrong, speak to you about how to choose a career, how she found her path. Just to mention again, many of the people speaking to you children, they are young people, they are young professionals. So they are people you can relate to. Don't feel shy. Maybe questions you cannot ask your mom. Maybe, I don't like math too much. You know, you can ask the young people, they get it, right? So feel free to come and to keep joining. And thank you everyone for the incredible support. And this concludes the lunch for today. And actually, thank you so much, Mrs. Ezine. She is incredible. I met Mrs. Ezine as well through a volunteering experience opportunity. And since then, I've worked with her in so many capacities. She's an incredible journalist. And she specializes in the maritime industry. Thank you so much for doing this. Thank you for bringing your daughter on board as my first JuCE child. Thank you for, in a way, bringing life forth, because due to Talia being here, many kids are here as well. So thanks so much. And yes, thank you, everybody. Have a great weekend and happy Easter.
Ada, please, before you sign out, could you talk about the registration and share the link, just to ensure we're able to reach out to everyone who has come on board with the program subsequently, please.
Okay, thank you so much. So some people registered and they were sent a link to join this call. However, at the last minute, many people did not know that they had to register. So we sent them the Zoom link to participate without registering. It's really important to us as an NGO to be able to track the work we're doing, right? To say these are the number of children we're reaching, these are the number of parents we're working with, and to track how we're progressing over time. So if you joined using the Zoom link without registering, please, Deborah is going to post the link, or she has actually posted the link before, but she's going to post it again. Deborah, you can do that. Chika, please help me if Deborah is not here. That's Chika ZK. But please join them. Please register on that link, and also feel free to actually just drop your email if you do not register, and we can contact you. That might be much easier for you. Either your email or phone number, whatever works for you. Yeah. Okay,
All
thank
right,
you.
someone is also asking, can someone mute? All right, thank you. So, thank you, Chika. We have the registration link there on, yes, in the chat now. And we had someone ask a question about children who are in boarding schools, how we hope to reach out to them. So, Ada, would you do a bit of clarification?
Yeah.
But I can believe that if they also give us the schools details, we could try as much to reach out to them. Otherwise, if they register, just tell them how we go about it.
Yes, so JuCE was very purposeful about launching during the Easter holiday so that we can have the kids join us. However, we are aware that there are kids who cannot join because they're in boarding house. Like I said before, we are actively connecting and trying to join, trying to partner with schools. The hope is that when schools partner with us, we can bring our services to them. So we have schools partnering with us who say, we plan to create a career club, right? Or we can have a career club where a JuCE volunteer will come in and share some of your material. This is another reason we're partnering with Talent Pipeline Company, because they actively also hope to go create career clubs in schools and partner with JuCE using our material in those career clubs. So those are the ways we partner with schools. So if you're in boarding house and if the school is willing to work with us, we are super happy, because like I said, all of this is recorded. So even if a school misses out, things can be played back. And if you know if your child is in boarding house and you want them to participate and you have the principal's number or something, have a chat with her. They can connect with us on JuCE and we would follow up with that. But yeah, I think that's a long way of answering it. We have them in mind and we're looking to partner with as many schools as possible. So yeah, thank you for that question.
Thank you very much, everyone. Officially, JuCE is launched and we look forward to having you all on board. Thank you and congratulations, Ada. Congratulations, Team JuCE. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good Easter.
Bye.
Bye.